Baltimore, Tennessee, in my opinion, is the best game of the weekend. It is the early game on Sunday. Baltimore is looking for revenge from last year's playoffs, losing in the divisional round as the number 1 seed versus Tennessee, who was, the number 6 seed, I think, last year? They beat New England, and yeah, I think they were the 6 seed, so the 6 seed beat the 1 seed, I believe. This game's going to be good. I just think it's going to be the feistiest, the toughest, the overall a rivalry here almost. Like it's been brewing. They've played this year, they played last year in the playoffs. I just think this is going to be a playoff game, like a legitimately in your face tough game of football. So let's take a look at the tail of the tape. I feel like I'm a UFC announcer. Let's take a look at that. So, Baltimore, 11th offense, Tennessee 3. Baltimore, 15th defense, Tennessee 29. We'll talk about that. Baltimore, a 165-point differential, which was the best in football. Tennessee, 52. Overall, this is going to be a great game because I don't really know what to expect from both sides of the ball, honestly. I think because of the familiarity between the two teams from the past 2 matchups, I think it's going to be high scoring, but because of both of the ways that these two teams play offense, it'll be interesting. So I don't know the health right now of Baltimore's front, but it is massively important on defense. Calais Campbell, Derek Wolfe, Brandon Williams, these guys are crucially important. And this is a huge reason. I mean, think back to last year, right? The reason Baltimore signed Derek Wolfe and traded for Calais Campbell is because they got ran all over by Derrick Henry. So will these guys make the difference in this game? In my opinion, Derrick Henry will not run for as much success as he had in the past 2 games. I think Baltimore will do a better job on that. Now, they need to be careful that they aren't allowing big plays down the field in the passing game. A.J. Brown is tough. Marlon Humphrey's going to draw the assignment. That might be the best individual matchup all weekend. That's a great matchup. Corey Davis, Marcus Peters, that's another great matchup. But I think both teams will sell out to stop the run. I think on both sides of the ball, Tennessee will sell out to stop Lamar and the rushing attack, and Baltimore will sell out to stop Tennessee in the passing attack, or the rushing attack, sorry. Tennessee has actually been a better offense when they put the ball in the hands of Ryan Tannehill, efficiency-wise. They've been better passing the football through their play-action game with Ryan Tannehill. That's how they create most of their big plays, and then they grind it out at the end and run the football. A crucial part of last year's game was Baltimore getting behind early and Tennessee getting up early because it completely went the way of Tennessee, right? Tennessee was able to make a few big plays early in the game offensively through play action. I remember specifically the Khalif Raymond touchdown. That was huge. It was Khalif Raymond, right? I believe it was. It was like a post down the field 50 yards. You guys probably remember, especially Tennessee fans. But the beginning of this game, the first quarter, is more important in this game than in any other game the whole weekend. Whoever wins the first quarter, I'd be willing to bet will win the game. I'd be willing to bet. I think that Baltimore is building momentum to the playoffs, playing very good football. Obviously, the point differential speaks for itself. And they obviously have an extra chip on their shoulder from the last 2 matchups. I don't know how much you can take that into account, but I think it is a factor. I just like the way Lamar is playing right now. I think a big factor as well in that last game, in the playoffs, I should say, last year, was the Ravens being caught off guard, kind of playing overconfident and getting ran over. Physically getting ran over and not coming out with a chip, not coming out with an edge. This year, it's different. I think Baltimore's coming from a perspective and an angle of underdog. They're coming from it, even though they're not underdogs in this game, they're coming from the angle of we need to prove people wrong. And that's a big deal to me because I feel like a big reason the Ravens lost last year to the Titans was because they were shocked early. You know, they came into the game, we're the number 1 seed, we're expected to win the Super Bowl, like we're this almighty team. And Tennessee smacked them in the mouth. And Tennessee was riding the momentum of their late season surge, of beating New England in their building. That's a very rare feat. And they had all this momentum and charisma and just like, they were feeling themselves. Baltimore is almost what Tennessee was last year. Tennessee has been playing kind of, shaky lately, right? Like they almost lost to the Texans last week. Their defense just hasn't shown up. They're not playing with the physicality, the edge they played with last year that enabled them to go on the run last year. Like a lot of these things are not necessarily statistics. They're not necessarily X's and O's. But in my opinion, they're massive factors for what happened last year that you need to account where these two teams are this year. And I really just love the way Lamar is playing. I like the way they've been running the ball. I like the way they've been mixing in Marquise Brown in the passing game. And I think the Ravens will move the ball on a defense that's one of the worst in the league. The Titans are 29th by DVOA. They're bottom 5 in the league at the very least. They really can't defend the run or the pass very well. They have shown that they can contain Lamar in the past, but will that show up this time around? The way they're playing suggests I'm not sure. On the other side, I don't think Tannehill is going to have a ton of success passing the ball, even if, the Ravens kind of play heavy towards the run game of Derrick Henry. And I think if the Ravens stop the run early, that's going to force the Ravens, the Titans into a hole and the Ravens to jump out in front, in which case that's a bad thing for Tennessee because Tennessee is really, really, really good from playing out in front. So is the Ravens, right? So again, this game will be determined in the first quarter. Whoever comes out and plays their style, they're very difficult to beat once they maintain their style of play. Baltimore out in front, Tennessee out in front, right? Tennessee out in front, they can hit you any which way they like. And defensively, they're creative enough in the passing game, blitz-wise, where they can get after you and make some plays. They're very opportunistic defensively, even though they're not very good. Baltimore is made to stop the pass on defense. They love to blitz. And Tannehill is not as good, and the Titans are not as good of a passing offense in a traditional sense when they just drop back out a shotgun and they're passing. They're amazing off play action, but they're kind of average just passing the ball. So who comes out quicker? Who comes out with more momentum? Who comes out and sets the tone? And in my opinion, that will be Baltimore. Not saying that the Titans cannot win the game if that happens, but I just like the way that Baltimore is playing recently. I feel the momentum, and I feel that they have something to prove here. And I think that the Ravens are overall playing the better football and are overall the better team. So I'm going to take Baltimore to get revenge here. Again, if the Titans are up in the first quarter and they come out strong, Titans probably win, and I'll be wrong. But the Ravens, I just have a good feeling about them. And even though people will say, the Titans, they own the Ravens. I don't see it happening this time. I just look at it, the recent performance, and the Ravens, I can't see it 3 times in a row. Lamar has so much to prove in this game. Imagine if Lamar loses this game in the playoffs. Guys, I'm sorry. I just don't see it. I think the Ravens are going to win. I think they're going to get their revenge. So I'm going to go. I think the Ravens are going to score in the 30s, or maybe the high 20s. It really depends on how the game flow goes in terms of the ball possession and how much time they take. I feel like it's going to be an offensive game, but you won't really be aware because the scoreboard, I feel, might not be as high as how well the offenses are playing. I don't know how to really put that, but it's going to be like a ball possession game, I think. I don't think it's going to be like a quick strike game. So I think it's going to be like 30-24 for Baltimore, something like that. 30-27, 31-27, 31-24, something like that. Maybe like 27-23. I'm going to take Baltimore. The half point is infuriating. Like, I hate it. I might lean towards the Titans with the half point. I'm not exactly sure. This is probably the game that I'm least going to put money on, like least likely to put money on. So I'll say Baltimore wins. I'm not confident about the spread. I will take the Titans with the hook because I do think it could end up being a field goal game within 3. Then again, if the game does go over and it's really high scoring, you're less inclined to take the points, and you're more inclined to take the team that you think will win because more points, larger number of spread, obviously. So I'm going to go with Baltimore. I will take the hook though. If this gets to 3, I probably lean towards Baltimore. I'm not sure, man. That's tough. Like, I might change my spread pick, but I'm pretty confident about Baltimore winning this game overall. So it will be a good one. I'm excited for it though. Should be a really, really, really good game.